Did you know that 90% of the fear we feel before speaking never actually happens? It's true. Most of our worries are only phantom shadows on the wall that vanish once we step into the light. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, step by step, speech by speech. Today, I'm going to show you simple, powerful ways to overcome fear and speak with calm, genuine confidence. And if you want more real-world advice you can use right away, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Now, let's begin, because the first step to conquering fear is simpler than you might think, and it starts right now. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a stage. Your heart pounds against your chest. Your palms grow damp. Your throat tightens. In this moment, fear feels like an overwhelming force, an enemy you cannot defeat. But what if I told you that this enemy isn't what you think it is? Fear is not your opponent. Fear is simply imagination unleashed, running wild without direction or purpose. It's a story you tell yourself, frame by frame, scene by scene, about what might go wrong. But notice that word might, not will, not must, simply might. Let me share something profound with you. In all my years of coaching thousands of speakers, I've never once seen all those imagined disasters actually unfold. The stuttering that renders you speechless, the audience that points and laughs, the complete memory blank that leaves you frozen. These are phantoms, shadows cast by a mind that's temporarily lost its way. Think about this. Your mind, right now, is capable of creating vivid disasters that feel absolutely real. It can make your heart race, your hands shake, and your breath shallow, all without a single real threat in sight. That's not weakness. That's power. Raw, uncontrolled power. Your imagination is so strong that it can create physical responses in your body just by thinking about speaking. But here's the revelation that changes everything. If your mind is powerful enough to create these feelings of fear, it's powerful enough to create feelings of confidence. Fear distorts reality like a funhouse mirror. It stretches small challenges into insurmountable obstacles. It compresses your vast capabilities into tiny points of doubt. It bends your perception until you can't recognize your own strength. But just as a funhouse mirror doesn't actually change your physical form, fear doesn't actually change your capabilities. You don't become less knowledgeable when you're afraid. You don't become less experienced, less worthy, or less important. Fear simply makes you forget who you are. The real enemy isn't fear itself. It's the belief that fear must be eliminated before you can succeed. This belief keeps more people silent than fear ever could. Because here's the liberating truth. You don't need to be fearless. You need to be brave. And bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's the triumph of purpose over fear. Think of fear as a clumsy advisor. It's trying to protect you, but it's operating on outdated information. It treats every audience like a pack of prehistoric predators. Every presentation like a life or death situation. Every potential mistake like a fatal error. But you live in a different world. A world where audiences want you to succeed. Where mistakes are opportunities for connection. Where your voice matters not despite your fear, but sometimes because of it, because it shows you care enough to be affected. Understanding fear, truly understanding it, means recognizing it as a natural response to stepping into growth. Every time you feel that flutter in your stomach, that tightness in your throat, that racing in your mind, remember, these are not warning signs to retreat. They are signals that you're expanding your comfort zone, pushing your boundaries, becoming more than you were yesterday. In the chapters ahead, we'll transform your relationship with fear. You'll learn to see it not as an enemy to be defeated, but as energy to be directed. Not as a wall that blocks your path, but as a door waiting to be opened. Because once you understand what fear truly is, imagination without direction, you can begin to give it direction, to shape it, to use it, to transform it from an obstacle into an ally. Your journey to confident speaking begins with this fundamental shift in perspective. Fear isn't your enemy. Misunderstanding fear, that's the real enemy. And now that you understand what fear truly is, you're ready to take the first step toward transforming it. Let's continue this journey together. Because the path to confident speaking isn't about eliminating fear, it's about understanding it, embracing it, and ultimately transforming it into the fuel that powers your success. When your name is called to speak, something remarkable happens in your body. Your heart rate accelerates, your muscles tense, your mouth goes dry. These reactions feel personal, unique to you, but they're part of an ancient survival mechanism that lies deep within every human being. This primal response emerges from the oldest part of our brain, a region that hasn't changed much since our ancestors huddled around fires, watching the darkness for predators. Back then, being the center of attention often meant being in danger. Standing apart from the group meant vulnerability. Every pair of eyes focused on you could belong to a potential threat. Your body, in its deep wisdom, still carries this ancient programming. When you stand to speak, your brain can't tell the difference between a conference room and a prehistoric clearing. It responds the same way, flooding your system with adrenaline, preparing you either to fight for your life or flee to safety. This is why your hands shake, your voice trembles, your thoughts scatter. You're experiencing a biological response honed by millions of years of evolution. But there's another layer to our fear of speaking, one that's uniquely human. Unlike our ancestors, we don't just fear physical threats, we fear judgment, we fear rejection. We fear the silent criticism we imagine in every watching eye. This fear runs deeper than logic, deeper than reason, because it taps into our fundamental need for acceptance and belonging. Think about what happens in your mind before a speech. You imagine stumbling over words, seeing confusion on faces, hearing whispers in the audience. You picture yourself standing alone, exposed, vulnerable to the judgment of every person in the room. This isn't just anxiety, it's your social brain trying to protect you from what it perceives as one of the greatest dangers humans can face: social rejection. This fear of judgment is amplified by a peculiar quirk of human psychology called the spotlight effect. When you're speaking, it feels like every small mistake, every slight tremor in your voice, every misplaced word is glaringly obvious to everyone. But here's the truth that most speakers never realize. The audience isn't nearly as focused on your imperfections as you are. Most people in your audience are thinking about their own challenges, their own fears, their own next presentations. They're checking their phones, thinking about lunch, planning their afternoon. The spotlight that feels so harsh and revealing to you simply doesn't exist for them. Understanding this can be profoundly liberating. The fear of failure adds another heavy layer to our speaking anxiety. In our achievement-oriented culture, we've learned to equate our performance with our worth. A speech becomes more than just a speech. It becomes a test of our value, our competence, our very right to be heard. This transforms every presentation into a high-stakes gamble with our self-worth on the line. But here's what most people never learn about public speaking. The very symptoms we interpret as signs of failure are actually our body's way of preparing us to succeed. That surge of adrenaline, it's sharpening your senses, heightening your awareness, preparing you to perform at your peak. The increased heart rate, it's sending oxygen and nutrients to your brain, preparing you to think quickly and clearly. What we call stage fright is really stage flight. Your body mobilizing its resources, preparing for something important. The physical sensations of fear and excitement are nearly identical. The only difference is how we interpret them. This is why professional speakers and performers don't try to eliminate these sensations. They learn to welcome them as a sign that they're ready to perform. Understanding why we fear speaking isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's the first step toward transforming that fear into fuel for powerful communication. When you understand that your racing heart isn't a warning sign but a preparation for excellence, when you recognize that your heightened awareness isn't anxiety but readiness, you begin to work with your body's responses rather than against them. This knowledge gives you a choice. Instead of being ambushed by fear, you can anticipate it. Instead of fighting it, you can channel it. Instead of being paralyzed by it, you can be energized by it. Because once you understand why you feel what you feel, you gain the power to choose how you use it. Remember, your fear of speaking isn't a flaw in your character. It's not a weakness to overcome. It's a natural, normal, fundamentally human response to a situation that your deepest brain still considers challenging. In the chapters ahead, we'll build on this understanding, transforming these instinctive responses from barriers into bridges to powerful, confident communication. Every time you choose silence over speaking, something precious is lost. Not just words, but opportunity, influence, and pieces of your own potential. These losses accumulate silently, like shadows lengthening at dusk, until one day you look back and wonder how many moments of impact slipped away. Consider the meeting where you had the solution but didn't share it, the idea that could have transformed your team's project, trapped behind lips sealed by fear. The words of encouragement that might have changed someone's day, someone's path, someone's life, lost to the void of unspoken thoughts. These missed opportunities aren't just professional setbacks. Each time you choose silence when your heart urges you to speak, you send yourself a powerful message that your voice doesn't matter, that your thoughts aren't worth sharing, that safety in silence is preferable to the risk of being heard. This message, repeated day after day, meeting after meeting, shapes more than just your speaking habits. It erodes your self-image. Like water wearing away stone, each moment of chosen silence carves deeper channels of doubt in your mind. You begin to see yourself as someone who doesn't speak up, who doesn't contribute, who doesn't lead. The professional cost is equally profound. In today's world, visibility often equals opportunity. The ability to articulate your ideas clearly and confidently isn't just a nice-to-have skill, it's a fundamental driver of career advancement. Those who can effectively communicate their value, their vision, and their achievements are the ones who get noticed, get promoted, get selected for the opportunities that shape careers. Think about the leaders you admire, the colleagues who seem to effortlessly navigate their careers upward. What sets them apart isn't just their competence, it's their willingness to be heard, to share their perspective, to stand in front of others and say, "This is what I believe, this is what I've found, this is what we should do." But the cost of silence extends beyond your career. It impacts every relationship in your life. The parent who never shares their deepest wisdom with their children, the partner who can't express their needs or desires, the friend who never reveals their true thoughts or feelings. Each silence creates distance, builds walls, deepens disconnection. The tragedy is that most people who stay silent don't recognize these costs until they've paid them for years. They focus on the immediate comfort of avoiding potential judgment or criticism. They tell themselves they'll speak up when they're more prepared, more confident, more certain. But certainty is a mirage that recedes as you approach it, and confidence comes through action, not avoidance. What's even more painful is watching opportunities pass to others, not because they have better ideas, but because they have the courage to voice them. Watching leadership roles go to those who may have less experience but more willingness to stand and speak. Seeing your insights implemented months later when someone else voices the very thought you kept to yourself. The cost of silence also compounds over time. Each moment of holding back makes the next moment of speaking up harder. Each avoided opportunity reinforces the habit of avoidance. The longer you wait to find your voice, the more daunting the task becomes. But here's the truth that can begin to break this cycle. Your voice, your insights, your perspective, they're unique. No one else sees the world quite the way you do. No one else has lived your experiences, drawn your conclusions, or formed your understanding. When you stay silent, you don't just deny yourself, you deny others the benefit of your unique viewpoint. The world needs your voice. It needs your ideas, your insights, your perspective. Every time you choose silence over speaking, you're not just holding yourself back, you're withholding something valuable from the world, something that only you can contribute. As we move forward in this journey, remember, the cost of fear isn't just in the moments of discomfort when speaking. It's in all the moments of impact, connection, and growth that never happen when you choose to stay silent. The real question isn't, what if I speak and something goes wrong? It's, what if I don't speak and everything stays the same? There's a myth that holds too many speakers captive, the belief that confident speakers were born that way. That they emerged into the world equipped with an innate ability to command attention, to speak without fear, to move audiences with their words. This myth does more than discourage, it paralyzes. Because if confidence is innate, what hope is there for those who weren't born with it? But here's the liberating truth: confident speakers aren't born, they're built. Every commanding voice you've ever heard, every powerful presence you've ever witnessed, every seemingly fearless presenter you've ever admired, they all started exactly where you are now. With racing hearts, with shaking hands, with doubts and fears and uncertainties. What sets them apart isn't natural talent, it's their understanding of how confidence is actually constructed. Like a master craftsman building a cathedral, they know that grand achievements come from placing one stone upon another, day after day, with patience and purpose. The foundation of speaking confidence is laid with small wins, not grand speeches to thousands, but brief comments in team meetings, not keynote addresses, but short presentations to familiar colleagues. Each time you speak up, even if your voice trembles, you're laying another brick in your foundation. Each time you contribute, even if your point isn't perfectly articulated, you're strengthening your structure. Think of confidence like physical strength. No one walks into a gym for the first time and lifts their maximum weight. They start with what they can manage, gradually increasing the challenge as their strength grows. Speaking confidence develops the same way. You start with situations you can handle, gradually pushing your boundaries as your comfort zone expands. The key is to seek out these opportunities for growth. Volunteer to present project updates. Raise your hand in meetings. Offer to give tutorials on topics you know well. Each of these moments is a rep in your confidence workout, building the emotional and mental muscles that support powerful speaking. What makes this approach so effective is that it creates a positive feedback loop. Each small success, no matter how modest, provides evidence that contradicts your fears. Every time you speak up and the world doesn't end, every time you make a point and someone nods in agreement, every time you finish a presentation and receive even one word of appreciation, these moments accumulate, building not just confidence, but competence. This is where many speakers make a crucial mistake. They wait to feel confident before they start speaking. But confidence isn't a prerequisite for action, it's a result of action. It's the product of repeatedly facing your fears and surviving, of accumulating evidence that you can handle whatever comes your way. The most powerful confidence builders are often the moments that seem insignificant at the time. The quick question you asked in a meeting, the brief explanation you gave to a colleague, the short toast you offered at a friend's gathering. These moments matter because they're achievable, repeatable, and frequent. They provide regular opportunities to practice the fundamental skills of public speaking, organizing thoughts, projecting voice, maintaining eye contact, reading audience reaction. But here's what's truly transformative about this approach. It shifts your focus from the end goal to the process. Instead of fixating on becoming a confident speaker, a destination that can feel overwhelmingly distant, you focus on taking the next small step, making the next contribution, speaking up in the next meeting. This shift in perspective changes everything. Suddenly, confidence isn't some mystical quality that others possess and you lack. It's a skill you're actively building, a capacity you're deliberately developing, a strength you're systematically growing. Remember, every confident speaker you admire was once where you are now. They didn't leap from fear to fearlessness in a single bound. They built their confidence one speech at a time, one presentation at a time, one small win at a time. They understood that confidence isn't a gift bestowed at birth, it's a structure built through consistent, deliberate action. Your journey to confident speaking starts now, not with a grand gesture, but with the next small opportunity to use your voice. Because that's how confidence is truly built. Not through sudden transformation, but through steady, persistent growth. Not through avoiding fear, but through gradually expanding your capacity to act in its presence. There's a moment every speaker knows, standing before an audience, heart pounding, mind racing. But there's a profound difference between those who face this moment with terror and those who face it with quiet confidence. That difference isn't talent, charisma, or natural ability. It's preparation. Preparation is the hidden foundation of every great speech, every powerful presentation, every memorable moment on stage. It's the invisible architecture that supports confidence, enables authenticity, and transforms anxiety into anticipation. Yet most speakers fundamentally misunderstand what true preparation means. They believe preparation is simply memorizing words, rehearsing gestures, practicing timing. But real preparation goes deeper. It's about building such intimate familiarity with your material that it becomes part of you, as natural as describing a favorite memory or explaining something you deeply understand. Think about how easily you can tell a story from your own life. You don't need notes. You don't worry about forgetting details. You don't stress about the exact words you'll use. Why? Because you lived it. You know it. It's part of you. This is the level of familiarity that powerful preparation creates with your material. The magic of thorough preparation is that it creates freedom. When you know your content deeply, when you've explored it from every angle, when you've anticipated questions and challenges, you're free to be present with your audience, free to respond to their energy, free to adjust your delivery in the moment. This is the paradox of preparation. The more thoroughly you prepare, the more spontaneous you can be. But how do you prepare effectively? It starts with understanding that preparation isn't a single activity, it's a systematic process. First comes deep learning, immersing yourself in your material until you understand it at a fundamental level. Not just the what, but the why. Not just the facts, but the connections. Not just the information, but the implications. Next comes structure, organizing your content in a way that flows naturally, that builds logically, that leads your audience on a journey of understanding. This isn't about creating rigid scripts, it's about developing a clear roadmap. When you know exactly where you're going, you can be flexible about how you get there. Then comes anticipation, thinking through potential questions, concerns, and challenges. What might confuse your audience? What might they resist? What examples might help them understand? This mental rehearsal isn't about preparing for problems, it's about preparing to serve your audience more effectively. The physical aspects of preparation matter too. Walking through your presentation space beforehand if possible. Understanding the technology you'll be using. Knowing where you'll stand, how you'll move, where you'll direct your attention. These practical details might seem minor, but they eliminate small uncertainties that can compound into major distractions. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of preparation is its effect on your mindset. Every hour you spend preparing deposits confidence in your emotional bank account. Every question you anticipate and prepare for strengthens your sense of capability. Every run-through builds your familiarity not just with your content, but with the act of presenting itself. This is why professional speakers, despite their experience, often prepare more thoroughly than beginners. They understand that preparation isn't about eliminating nerves, it's about transforming them into energy. It's about building such deep confidence in your material that you can channel your natural excitement into powerful delivery. Remember, your audience doesn't see your preparation. They don't know how many hours you spent researching, organizing, practicing. They only see the result. A speaker who seems naturally confident, effortlessly articulate, genuinely engaged with their material and their audience. The magic of preparation is that it creates this illusion of effortlessness. Like a swan gliding smoothly across a lake, the furious paddling happens beneath the surface. Your audience sees grace, confidence, and ease, while your thorough preparation powers every moment. Think of preparation as building a safety net of knowledge. When you know you can handle any question, adapt to any reaction, recover from any stumble, your fear begins to dissolve. Not because you won't face challenges, but because you know you can handle them. This is the true magic of preparation. It transforms fear into confidence, anxiety into anticipation, uncertainty into capability. It gives you the freedom to focus not on yourself, but on your audience. Not on your fears, but on your message. Not on what might go wrong, but on what you're there to share. In the chapters ahead, we'll explore specific preparation techniques that build this kind of deep confidence. But for now, remember, every minute you spend preparing is an investment in your confidence, your capability, and your impact. Because when you stand before your audience thoroughly prepared, you stand ready not just to speak, but to truly connect, engage, and inspire. Before you ever step onto a stage, before you rise to speak, before you even clear your throat, you've already begun your presentation in the most important venue of all, your mind. The battle for speaking confidence is won or lost first in your thoughts, in the stories you tell yourself, in the images you hold of who you are and what you're capable of achieving. This is where many speakers make their first and most costly mistake. They focus all their energy on external preparation, the words, the slides, the timing, while neglecting the internal preparation that shapes how they'll deliver those elements. They forget that the most powerful speaking tool isn't your voice, your gestures, or your material, it's your mindset. Think of your mind as the control room for your speaking performance. Every thought, every belief, every image you hold about yourself as a speaker sends signals that shape your delivery. When you picture yourself failing, your body responds with tension, your voice tightens, your gestures become rigid. When you picture yourself succeeding, your body relaxes, your voice flows, your movements become natural. This is where the practice of visualization becomes not just helpful but essential. Elite athletes have long known its power. They don't just practice physically, they rehearse mentally. They create vivid mental movies of perfect performance, programming their minds and bodies for success. Speakers can harness this same power. But effective visualization isn't just about seeing yourself succeed. It's about creating a complete mental experience. When you visualize your speaking success, engage all your senses. See yourself standing tall. Hear your voice resonating with confidence. Feel the energy flowing between you and your audience. Make it so real that your body begins to believe it's already happened. The key is to build what I call a winning image, a clear, compelling picture of yourself as the speaker you want to be. Not a perfect speaker. Perfection isn't the goal, but a speaker who is authentic, engaged, and impactful. A speaker who connects with their audience, who shares ideas clearly, who handles challenges with grace. This winning image should be specific and detailed. How do you stand? How do you move? How do you interact with your audience? What energy do you project? The more detailed this image, the more powerful its effect on your actual performance. Your body and mind will naturally begin to align with this internal picture. But mindset isn't just about visualization. It's about the fundamental beliefs you hold about speaking and about yourself as a speaker. Do you see speaking as a threat or an opportunity? Do you view your audience as judges to be feared or partners to be engaged? Do you think of your nervous energy as a problem to be eliminated or a resource to be channeled? These beliefs shape everything about your speaking performance. They influence how you prepare, how you deliver, and how you handle challenges. The speaker who sees their audience as hostile judges will present differently from the speaker who sees them as interested colleagues. The speaker who fears their nervous energy will perform differently from the speaker who welcomes it as a source of vitality. This is why transforming your mindset often means challenging and changing these core beliefs. Replace "I have to be perfect" with "I have to be authentic." Replace "the audience is looking for my mistakes" with "the audience is looking for my value." Replace "I must eliminate all nervousness" with "I can channel this energy into engagement." Building a powerful speaking mindset also means developing what psychologists call mental toughness, the ability to stay focused and effective under pressure. This comes from knowing deep in your core that you can handle whatever happens, that you can recover from any stumble, adapt to any situation, connect with any audience. Your mindset creates possibilities or limitations. It opens doors or builds walls. It determines not just how you speak, but how your audience receives your message. Because audiences don't just hear your words, they feel your energy, they sense your beliefs, they respond to your inner state. Remember, long before you step up to speak, you're already telling yourself a story about what will happen. Make sure it's a story that empowers rather than imprisons you. because the voice in your head will ultimately shape the voice you share with the world. There's a profound misunderstanding that keeps countless potential speakers silent: the belief that courage means feeling no fear, that the truly brave speaker is one who has somehow eliminated all anxiety, banished all doubts, silenced all inner criticism. This belief isn't just wrong, it's paralyzing, because it creates an impossible standard that no speaker, no matter how experienced, can meet. Here's the liberating truth: courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to act meaningfully in the presence of fear. Every great speaker you've ever seen, every powerful presenter you've ever admired has felt fear. They felt their heart race, their palms sweat, their thoughts scatter. What sets them apart isn't the absence of these sensations, it's their relationship with them. Think about what courage means in any context. The firefighter who runs into a burning building isn't fearless. They're focused on something more important than their fear. The person who stands up for what's right in a difficult situation isn't without anxiety. They're driven by something stronger than their anxiety. The same principle applies to speaking. True speaking courage isn't about eliminating fear. It's about finding something more compelling than fear. It's about having a message so important, a purpose so meaningful, a desire to serve so strong that it outweighs the discomfort of speaking. When your why is powerful enough, it can carry you through anyhow. This is where many speakers get stuck. They wait for the fear to go away before they begin. They tell themselves they'll speak up when they feel ready, when they feel confident, when they feel secure. But here's the crucial insight: those feelings don't come first. They come through action. Through stepping up, speaking out, and discovering that you can survive, even thrive, in the presence of fear. Consider this: every skill you've ever mastered began with awkward, uncertain steps. You didn't wait until you could walk perfectly before taking your first steps. You didn't wait until you could read fluently before sounding out your first words. You moved forward despite your imperfection, and mastery grew from that movement. Speaking works the same way. Each time you step up to speak, even with shaking hands and a trembling voice, you're building evidence that you can handle it. Each time you push through the discomfort to make your point, you're proving to yourself that fear doesn't have to stop you. This is how real confidence is built, not through the absence of fear, but through progressive victory over it. But here's what makes this approach so powerful: it creates a positive spiral. Each small act of courage, each moment of speaking despite fear, builds your capacity for the next challenge. The speaker who pushed through anxiety to contribute in a team meeting finds it a little easier to present at the next department gathering. The presenter who survived their first shaky client presentation faces their next one with a bit more confidence. This doesn't mean the fear goes away entirely, and that's okay. In fact, a certain amount of fear is useful. It keeps you sharp, keeps you prepared, keeps you connected to your audience. The goal isn't to eliminate this energy, but to channel it, to use it as fuel for more powerful, more engaging communication. Think of fear as a companion on your speaking journey, not an enemy to be destroyed. Like a challenging friend, it will always be there to test you, to push you, to make you question yourself. But also, like a friend, it can make you stronger if you learn to work with it rather than against it. Remember, every important message in history was delivered by someone who felt fear. Every meaningful change was initiated by someone who had doubts. Every powerful presentation was given by someone who had to push through uncertainty. They succeeded not because they felt no fear, but because they found the courage to act despite it. Your journey to powerful speaking doesn't require fearlessness. It requires something much more achievable: the willingness to begin before you feel ready, the commitment to continue even when it's uncomfortable, the courage to keep going even when your voice shakes. Because in the end, it's not the absence of fear that defines a speaker. It's what they do in its presence. The first 30 seconds of your speech are the most crucial moments you'll face as a speaker. In these precious opening moments, your audience makes vital decisions. Is this worth my attention? Should I listen actively or let my mind wander? Will this speaker add value to my life? These judgments happen faster than conscious thought, and they can determine the success or failure of your entire presentation. Think of attention like a spotlight in a dark theater. When you first step up to speak, that spotlight is naturally on you, but it's restless, constantly searching for something more interesting, more engaging, more worthy of its focus. Your job in those opening moments isn't just to catch that spotlight, it's to hold it, to direct it, to make it want to stay with you. Most speakers waste these critical moments. They start with worn out phrases like, "Thank you for having me today," or "I'm here to talk about." These are attention killers, dead words that tell your audience they can relax their sanity, focus, that nothing important is happening yet. By the time you finish these pleasantries, you've already lost the battle for attention. Instead, start with what I call an attention bomb, something that explodes your audience's expectations and demands their engagement. It might be a startling statistic. 3 out of 4 people in this room will face this challenge in the next year. It could be a provocative question. What if everything you believe about success is wrong? It might be a powerful story. Last Tuesday at exactly this time, someone made a decision that changed 1,000 lives. The key is to create what psychologists call a pattern interrupt, something that breaks through the audience's mental filters and automatic responses. When people enter a presentation, they bring with them a set of expectations about how it will go. Break those expectations in a meaningful way, and you've earned their attention. But grabbing attention isn't enough. You need to immediately connect that attention to value. Within seconds of your pattern interrupt, you must answer the audience's most important question: why should I care? This is where many strong openings fall apart. They catch attention, but fail to channel it towards something meaningful. Think of it like this. Your opening should create both tension and anticipation. Tension comes from highlighting a problem, challenge, or opportunity that matters to your audience. Anticipation comes from promising, explicitly or implicitly, that you're about to show them something valuable about that situation. The structure of a powerful opening follows a clear sequence. First, the attention bomb, something that breaks through mental filters. Then, the relevance bridge, why this matters to them specifically. Finally, the value promise, what they'll gain by staying engaged with your message. For example, imagine losing everything you've worked for in 90 seconds. That's how long it takes for the average person to make the presentation mistake I'm about to show you. But more importantly, I'm going to show you the simple 3-step technique that ensures you'll never make this mistake yourself. The physical aspects of your opening matter too. Your energy needs to be at its peak. Your voice should be strong and clear. Your movements should be purposeful and controlled. Remember, you're not just communicating with your words, you're communicating with your entire presence. But here's what many speakers miss. Your opening actually begins before you say your first word. The way you walk to the speaking position, how you take your stance, how you establish your presence, these moments are part of your opening too. They set the tone for everything that follows. The best speakers treat their opening like a movie director treats the first scene of a film. Every element is carefully chosen to pull the audience in, to create emotional investment, to promise something worth staying for. Nothing is wasted, nothing is casual, nothing is left to chance. This level of attention to your opening might seem excessive, but consider this. If you don't grab your audience in the first 30 seconds, you might spend the next 30 minutes talking to people who are physically present but mentally gone. The energy you invest in crafting and delivering a powerful opening pays dividends throughout your entire presentation. Remember, too, that different audiences require different types of openings. A corporate audience might respond to a startling business statistic. An academic audience might engage with a challenging question. A general audience might connect with a powerful human story. Know your audience and choose your attention bomb accordingly. The art of the instant grab isn't just about being attention-getting, it's about being attention-worthy. It's about creating an opening so compelling, so relevant, and so promising that your audience doesn't just feel they should pay attention, they feel they can't afford not to. Master your opening, and you master your audience's attention. Because in those critical first moments, you're not just beginning a speech, you're launching an experience that can change minds, touch hearts, and transform lives. When you stand before an audience, it's easy to be overwhelmed by the sea of faces before you. dozens, hundreds, sometimes thousands of eyes focused in your direction. This sight alone is enough to trigger our deepest speaking fears. But here's a transformative truth: you never need to speak to a crowd. You only need to speak to one person at a time. This principle changes everything about public speaking. When you try to speak to an entire audience at once, your message becomes diluted, your energy scattered, your connection weakened. But when you speak as if you're having an engaged conversation with a single person, something magical happens. Your voice becomes more natural, your gestures more authentic, your message more intimate and impactful. Think about your most powerful conversations. They probably weren't speeches or presentations. They were moments of genuine connection with another person, a heart-to-heart talk with a friend, an important discussion with a mentor, a meaningful exchange with someone who needed your help. In these moments, you weren't performing, you were communicating. You weren't presenting, you were sharing. This is the secret that great speakers understand. Public speaking is just private speaking multiplied. It's taking the intimacy of a one-on-one conversation and expanding it to fill a larger space. When you master this approach, you transform what could be an intimidating performance into a series of personal connections. How do you make this shift? Start by changing how you visualize your audience. Instead of seeing a crowd, picture yourself having a coffee with someone who needs to hear your message. Someone who has the exact problem you're helping to solve or who needs the exact information you're sharing. Make them real in your mind. Give them a face, a story, a reason for being there. Your language changes when you speak to one person. Some of you might be wondering becomes you might be wondering. There are people who struggle with this becomes you might have struggled with this. These small shifts make your message feel personal rather than general, directed rather than scattered. Your eye contact becomes more meaningful too. Instead of scanning the crowd in nervous sweeps, you can look at individual faces, completing full thoughts with each person. This isn't just more comfortable for you, it's more compelling for your audience. Each person feels as if you're speaking directly to them, creating dozens of individual connections rather than one superficial group interaction. This approach solves another common speaking challenge: the temptation to become someone else on stage. When you're trying to speak to a crowd, it's easy to fall into what you think a public speaker should sound like. Your voice becomes artificial, your gestures become theatrical, your entire presence becomes inauthentic. But when you're speaking to one person, it's much easier to stay true to yourself. You naturally use your real voice, your natural gestures, your authentic energy. This authenticity is magnetic. Audiences can sense it, and they respond to it far more powerfully than to any practiced performance. The one-person approach also helps you handle nerves more effectively. Speaking to a crowd can feel overwhelming, but speaking to one person feels manageable. You've done it thousands of times before. You know how to do this. This realization alone can help calm your nervous system and ground your energy. Even your content becomes stronger when you imagine speaking to one person. You naturally explain things more clearly. You anticipate questions more effectively. You choose examples that resonate on a personal level. Your entire presentation becomes more focused, more relevant, and more engaging. Remember, every person in your audience is experiencing your presentation individually. They're not a collective mind. They're individual humans, each with their own thoughts, concerns, and needs. When you speak to them as individuals, you honor this reality and create a more meaningful experience for everyone. This shift from crowd to individual doesn't diminish your impact, it multiplies it. Because when each person feels personally addressed, personally understood, personally helped, your message doesn't just reach them, it resonates with them. It doesn't just inform them, it moves them. Master this approach, and you'll never again feel like you're speaking to a crowd. Instead, you'll be having a series of meaningful conversations that just happen to take place in a room full of people. And that's when your true power as a speaker will emerge. Human beings are wired for story. Long before we developed written language, before we created complex civilizations, we gathered around fires and shared stories. This deep neurological connection to storytelling remains one of the most powerful tools available to any speaker. When facts fade from memory, stories remain. Understanding why stories work is crucial to using them effectively. When you share data or abstract concepts, you activate the language processing parts of your audience's brains. But when you tell a story, something remarkable happens, the entire brain lights up. When you describe running, the motor cortex activates. When you mention the scent of coffee, the olfactory cortex engages. You're not just speaking to your audience, you're creating an experience in their minds. This is why stories capture and hold attention so effectively. While your audience might drift during a list of facts or statistics, they stay engaged during a story because their brains are actively participating in creating the experience. They're not just listening, they're seeing, feeling, and even physically responding to your words. But not all stories are created equal. The most powerful stories for public speaking share common elements that make them both memorable and meaningful. First, they have a clear structure, a beginning that hooks attention, a middle that builds tension, and an end that delivers insight. This structure isn't just artistic convention, it's how our brains best process and retain information. The beginning of your story needs to immediately establish stakes. Why should your audience care what happens next? This might be through an intriguing question, a surprising statement, or a moment of tension. Everything was perfect until I never expected that morning to change my life. These openings signal to your audience that something important is about to unfold. The middle of your story should build tension through conflict or challenge. This is where many speakers falter. They rush to the resolution without fully developing the struggle. But it's the struggle that creates emotional investment. Whether it's a personal challenge, a business problem, or a scientific puzzle, the tension of unresolved conflict keeps your audience engaged. The ending needs to do more than just resolve the story. It must connect to your larger message. This is where you bridge from narrative to meaning, helping your audience understand why this story matters to them. The best stories in presentations aren't just entertaining, they're illustrative of a larger point or principle. When selecting stories for your presentations, consider these key criteria: relevance, relatability, and resonance. Relevance means the story clearly connects to your main message. Relatability means your audience can see themselves or their situations in the story. Resonance means the story touches on universal human experiences or emotions. Personal stories, when chosen carefully, can be particularly powerful. They bring authenticity to your presentation and help establish your credibility, not through claims, but through demonstrated experience. However, personal stories must still serve your audience's needs, not just share your experiences. Every detail should earn its place by contributing to the larger message. The delivery of your story matters as much as its content. Pacing is crucial. Know when to slow down for important details and when to move quickly through less critical elements. Use pauses strategically to build anticipation or emphasize key moments. Let your voice and body language naturally reflect the emotion of the story without becoming melodramatic. Visual language is particularly important in storytelling. The project was challenging because we were staring at a whiteboard covered in red marks, each one representing a failed attempt. Specific details make your story vivid and memorable, but choose them carefully. Too many details can bog down your narrative. Too few can make it feel insubstantial. Remember that stories in presentations should be concise. You're not writing a novel or performing a one-person show. Practice telling your stories efficiently while maintaining their emotional impact. A well-crafted story of 2 minutes can be more powerful than a rambling tale of 10. Most importantly, your stories should build bridges between your message and your audience's lives. The best presentation stories aren't just about what happened, they're about what it means. They don't just share an experience, they illuminate a truth. They don't just entertain, they transform understanding. Master the art of strategic storytelling, and you'll never struggle to hold your audience's attention. Because when you tell the right story in the right way, you're not just speaking to their minds, you're speaking to their hearts, their memories, their hopes, and fears. You're engaging them at the deepest level humans can connect through the shared experience of story. Your voice is the invisible bridge between your message and your audience's hearts. Long before humans developed written language, the sound of voice carried meaning, emotion, and intention. This primal power remains one of your most potent tools as a speaker. It's not just what you say, it's how your voice brings those words to life. Think of your voice as an instrument, one that can play an infinite variety of notes, tones, and emotional colors. Like any instrument, its power lies not just in its capacity to make sound, but in its ability to create meaning through subtle variations. The same words spoken with different vocal qualities can convey entirely different messages. Most speakers focus solely on their words, treating their voice as merely a delivery system, but your voice itself communicates volumes. It can convey confidence or uncertainty, passion or indifference, authenticity or artifice. Your audience may forget your exact words, but they'll remember how your voice made them feel. The foundation of vocal power is pace, the rhythm and speed of your speech. Speaking too quickly suggests nervousness or lack of confidence. Speaking too slowly can drain energy from your message. The key is finding what I call your natural power pace, the speed at which your voice carries both authority and ease. But pace isn't just about speed, it's about variation. Think of it like music. A song played at the same tempo throughout becomes monotonous. Similarly, your speech needs changes in pace to maintain engagement. Slow down for important points. Speed up slightly to create energy. Use strategic pauses to create emphasis and allow important ideas to sink in. These pauses are far more powerful than most speakers realize. A well-placed pause does more than give you a chance to breathe. It gives your audience a moment to process, reflect, and anticipate. It creates tension, it emphasizes importance, it transforms ordinary statements into memorable moments. The pitch of your voice carries equal importance. Speaking in a monotone, regardless of how beautiful your words might be, is like playing a piano using only one note. Your voice should move through a natural range of pitches, but always in service of your message. Lower pitches generally convey authority and credibility. Higher pitches can express excitement or urgency. Volume, too, is a subtle but powerful tool. Many speakers make the mistake of equating volume with impact. But sometimes the most powerful moment in a presentation is when you lower your voice, drawing your audience in closer, creating intimacy through quiet intensity. Varying your volume creates contrast and maintains attention. Your voice's resonance, where it seems to come from in your body, affects how your audience perceives you. Speaking from your chest or diaphragm projects authority and confidence. Speaking from your throat or nose can suggest tension or weakness. Finding your natural resonance allows you to project power without strain. But perhaps the most important quality of your voice is its authenticity. Many speakers try to imitate what they think a speaker voice should sound like. This always backfires. Your audience can instinctively detect when you're putting on a voice that isn't truly yours. The most powerful voice is your own voice, consciously cultivated and confidently expressed. This doesn't mean you shouldn't work to improve your voice. Like any instrument, your voice benefits from training and practice. Simple exercises can increase your range, strengthen your projection, and improve your control. But the goal isn't to create a new voice. It's to discover and enhance your natural voice's power. One of the most effective ways to develop your voice is to record yourself and listen back. Pay attention not just to what you say, but to how your voice affects you as a listener. Does it convey the authority, warmth, or enthusiasm you intend? Does it keep you engaged? Does it sound naturally like you? Remember, your voice is more than just a tool for delivering words. It's an instrument of emotional connection, a carrier of energy, a creator of experience. When you learn to use it consciously and powerfully, your voice becomes an invisible force that shapes how your audience receives, remembers, and responds to your message. Your body speaks before your words do. The moment you step onto a stage or rise to present, your audience is reading your physical presence. They're interpreting your confidence, credibility, and authenticity through how you move and hold yourself. This silent language of movement can either amplify or undermine your message. Many speakers make the mistake of trying to choreograph every movement, turning their presentation into a stiff performance. Others go to the opposite extreme, moving randomly or nervously without purpose. The key is finding the balance, movements that feel natural to you while serving your message and engaging your audience. Think of the stage as your conversation space. Just as you naturally move when having an engaged conversation with a friend, you should move purposefully when speaking to an audience. Each movement should have intention behind it. A step forward can create intimacy. A step to the side can signal a transition. A moment of stillness can emphasize a key point. The foundation of natural stage movement is your stance. Your feet should be planted about shoulder width apart, weight evenly distributed. This position, what I call your power base, gives you stability while allowing for easy movement. It prevents the common nervous habits of swaying or shifting weight from foot to foot that can distract your audience. Your arms and hands often reveal your inner state. When nervous, speakers tend to hide their hands in pockets, cross their arms, or fidget with objects. Instead, let your arms hang naturally at your sides when not gesturing. This open posture conveys confidence and allows for natural, spontaneous gestures that emphasize your points. Gestures should emerge naturally from your content. When you're engaged with your message, your hands will want to move to illustrate your points. Let them. Natural gestures help your audience process and remember your content. They add a visual dimension to your words and help maintain attention. Just ensure your gestures stay within what I call the gesture zone, the area between your shoulders and waist, and not extending too far from your body. Your facial expressions are equally important. Many speakers focus so intently on their content that they forget to engage their face. But your face is one of your most powerful tools for connecting with your audience. Let your natural reactions show. Smile when appropriate. Show concern when discussing challenges. Let your face reflect the emotional journey you're taking your audience on. Eye contact is crucial for maintaining connection, but many speakers struggle with it. The key is to think of eye contact as completing thoughts with individuals in your audience. Choose one person, share a complete thought while maintaining natural eye contact, then move to another person. This creates genuine connections while ensuring you engage the entire room. Movement on stage should be purposeful and measured. Random pacing distracts from your message. Instead, move with intention. Take a few steps when transitioning to a new point. Move closer to your audience during important moments. Step back slightly when you want them to focus on visual aids. Let your movement support and enhance your content. The space you choose to occupy matters too. Many speakers hide behind podiums or stick to one small area of the stage. Instead, claim your space. Use the available area confidently, but always with purpose. Think of the stage as having 3 zones: center, left, and right. Moving between these zones can help structure your presentation and maintain audience engagement. Remember that stillness is as powerful as movement. The ability to stand confidently in one spot while delivering an important point is a skill many speakers never master. Don't feel compelled to move constantly. Let your stillness create moments of impact. Your energy level should match your content. High-energy movements work for exciting or urgent messages. Slower, more measured movements suit serious or complex topics. But regardless of the energy level, your movements should always feel controlled and intentional. Practice is essential, but not to choreograph every move. Instead, practice to become comfortable in your space, to understand how your natural movements can support your message. Film yourself presenting and watch with the sound off. Your movements should make sense even without words. Most importantly, stay grounded in authenticity. Your movements should feel natural to you, not copied from someone else's style. The most powerful speakers aren't those with the most polished movements. They're the ones whose physical presence authentically amplifies their message. Master natural stage movement, and you transform your physical presence from a potential distraction into a powerful tool for connection and impact. Because when your body speaks in harmony with your words, your message becomes not just heard, but felt. In a world drowning in information, the ability to be brief and clear is a superpower. The most impactful speakers aren't those who say the most, they're those who convey the most meaning with the fewest words. This skill, what I call powerful precision, can transform your speaking from adequate to exceptional. Most speakers undermine their message by trying to say too much. They operate on the mistaken belief that more words equal more impact. But the opposite is true. Every unnecessary word dilutes your message. Every redundant phrase weakens your impact. Every meandering explanation loses another fragment of your audience's attention. Think of your message like a photograph. A skilled photographer knows that the power of an image often lies not in what's included, but in what's left out. The same principle applies to speaking. Your job isn't to say everything, it's to say the right things in the right way at the right time. The foundation of brevity is ruthless prioritization. Before every presentation, ask yourself, what is the one thing my audience must remember? What are the three key points that support this main message? Everything else should be scrutinized. Does it strengthen these core points? Does it serve your audience's needs? If not, it probably doesn't belong in your presentation. Clarity begins with structure. Your audience should never have to wonder where you're going or why you're taking them there. Start with a clear roadmap. Today, we'll explore 3 strategies that will transform your presentation skills. Then deliver exactly what you promised, no more, no less. The power of simple language cannot be overstated. Many speakers hide behind complex vocabulary or technical jargon, thinking it makes them sound more authoritative. But true authority comes from making complex ideas accessible. Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Think of your words like currency. Spend them wisely. Instead of saying, at this point in time, say now. Rather than make a determination, say decide. Don't utilize when you can use. Each simplified phrase makes your message more accessible and your impact more immediate. Sentence structure matters too. Long, complex sentences force your audience to work harder to understand you. Short sentences hit harder. They command attention. They stick in memory. Mix sentence lengths for rhythm, but favor brevity for impact. Stories and examples should follow the same principle of powerful precision. A 2-minute story that perfectly illustrates your point is far more effective than a 10-minute story that makes the same point. Cut to the heart of your illustrations. Keep only the details that serve your message. Transitions between points deserve special attention. Many speakers waste words with lengthy bridges between ideas. Simple phrases like, this leads us to, or now consider, can be more effective than elaborate transitions. They keep your audience oriented without breaking the flow of your message. Visual aids should support your commitment to brevity and clarity. A slide crammed with text betrays your message of precision. If you must use slides, follow the principle of one idea per slide. Let visual elements enhance your words, not compete with them. The power of the pause cannot be overstated. Strategic silence gives weight to your words. It allows important points to land. It gives your audience time to process. Don't feel compelled to fill every moment with sound. Sometimes brevity means saying nothing at all. Practice is essential, but not just any practice. Record yourself and transcribe your words. Read them on paper. You'll be amazed at how many unnecessary words creep into your speech. Edit ruthlessly. Then practice delivering your streamlined message until it feels natural. Remember, your audience's time and attention are precious gifts. Honor them by making every word count. By being brief, you show respect for their time. By being clear, you show respect for their intelligence. By being both, you maximize your impact. The ultimate test of brevity and clarity is this. Could your audience successfully repeat your core message to someone else? If not, you haven't been clear enough. Could they do it in one sentence? If not, you haven't been brief enough. Master the art of saying more with less, and you'll find your messages hitting home with greater impact than ever before. Because in a world of endless noise, clarity cuts through and brevity leaves a lasting impression. The moments before you speak are sacred. These final minutes can either amplify your anxiety or transform it into focused energy. What separates confident speakers from nervous ones isn't the absence of pre speaking jitters, it's having proven rituals that channel that energy into power. Think of these moments like an athlete's pregame routine. Every professional athlete has specific actions they perform before competing. These aren't just superstitions, they're scientifically proven methods for getting your mind and body into an optimal state for performance. Speakers need the same kind of preparation. The foundation of all calming rituals is breath. Your breath is the remote control for your nervous system. When you're anxious, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, triggering your body's stress response. But you can reverse this cycle. Deep, controlled breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's natural calming mechanism. Start with what I call the 4-7-8 reset. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 7 counts, exhale for 8 counts. This pattern forces your body to slow down. It's impossible to maintain the physical symptoms of anxiety while breathing this way. 3 rounds of this breathing pattern can completely shift your emotional state. Physical movement is another powerful tool. While others pace nervously, you can use deliberate movement to release tension. Find a private space, shake out your hands and arms, roll your shoulders, stretch your neck. These movements release muscle tension that can tighten your voice and restrict your gestures. Your stance matters immensely. Before you speak, stand in what researchers call a power pose. Feet planted shoulder, width apart, shoulders back, head high. Hold this position for 2 minutes. This isn't just about looking confident. It actually changes your body chemistry, reducing stress hormones and increasing confidence, building hormones. Mental rehearsal is equally crucial. Close your eyes. See yourself walking to the speaking position with calm confidence. Visualize yourself speaking with energy and authority. Imagine your audience engaged and responsive. This isn't just positive thinking, it's programming your brain and body for success. Many speakers make the mistake of reviewing their content right until the last moment. This actually increases anxiety. Your content should be so well prepared that you don't need last-minute cramming. Instead, use these moments to center yourself and connect with your purpose. Create what I call a power anchor, a physical gesture paired with an empowering thought. Perhaps touching your thumb and forefinger together while thinking, I am ready. When practiced regularly, this gesture alone can trigger a state of confident calm. Hydration is crucial, but often overlooked. Sip water slowly in the minutes before speaking. This keeps your throat lubricated and gives your hands something purposeful to do. But avoid cold water. Room temperature is better for your vocal cords. Music can be a powerful tool in your pre-speaking ritual. Create a playlist that energizes you without overstimulating. Listen through one ear so you remain aware of your surroundings. The right music can help you find your optimal energy level and emotional state. If possible, arrive early enough to walk the speaking space. Feel the room's energy. Test the acoustics with a few spoken phrases. This familiarization reduces uncertainty and helps you feel more at home in the space. Remember that nervous energy and excitement create the same physical sensations. The only difference is how you label them. Instead of telling yourself, I'm nervous, say, I'm excited. This simple reframe can transform anxiety into enthusiastic anticipation. Your ritual should end with what I call the purpose pause, a moment of complete stillness where you remind yourself why you're speaking, not for yourself, but for your audience. What gift are you giving them? What change are you creating? This connection to purpose is your strongest antidote to fear. These rituals aren't magic, they're methodology. They work because they give you control over your physical and mental state. They provide familiar actions in unfamiliar situations. They transform the uncertainty of speaking into a sequence of manageable steps. Master these pre-speaking rituals, and you'll never again be at the mercy of nervous jitters. Because when you have a proven process for preparing your mind and body, you can transform those butterflies in your stomach into a powerful force that lifts your message higher than ever before. It's the moment every speaker dreads. You're in the middle of your presentation, the audience is engaged, your rhythm is strong, and suddenly, blank, your mind empties. Your next point vanishes. Time seems to stop as panic rises in your chest. This moment, dreaded as it is, doesn't have to derail your presentation. In fact, handled correctly, it can become a powerful moment of authentic connection. First, understand that blanking out is normal. It happens to every speaker, from novices to professionals. Your brain, under the stress of public speaking, can sometimes trip over itself. This isn't a failure of preparation or a sign of incompetence. It's simply your mind's natural response to pressure. The key to handling these moments lies in what I call the pause and power technique. When you feel yourself blanking, don't fight it. Don't apologize. Instead, take a deliberate pause. Stand tall. Take a slow, deep breath. This accomplishes two crucial things. It gives your mind a moment to reset, and it projects confidence to your audience. Remember, what feels like an eternity to you feels like a natural pause to your audience. While you're experiencing internal panic, they're simply seeing a speaker take a thoughtful moment. Use this knowledge to your advantage. Transform what could be a moment of weakness into a moment of strength. Keep a glass of water nearby, not just for hydration, but as a recovery tool. If you blank out, taking a calm sip of water gives you a natural moment to gather your thoughts. It's a common speaking technique that audiences understand and accept without question. This simple action can help you regain your composure and reconnect with your content. One of the most powerful recovery techniques is what I call the bridge back. Instead of struggling to remember your exact next point, bridge back to your last clear thought. Briefly summarize what you've just said. We've been talking about. This often triggers your memory of what comes next, and even if it doesn't, it keeps you and your audience oriented. Another effective technique is the question pivot. Turn to your audience and ask them a question related to your last point. How many of you have experienced something similar? This accomplishes multiple goals. It gives you time to regroup, engages your audience, and often provides a natural path back to your content. Never apologize for blanking out, saying, "I'm sorry, I've lost my place," or "I can't remember what comes next," only draws attention to the moment and undermines your authority. Instead, maintain your composure and use one of your recovery techniques. Your audience will often never know you've lost your place. Preparation plays a crucial role in recovery. Structure your presentation with clear mental landmarks, key points or stories that you can easily remember. If you blank out, you can jump to your next landmark and continue from there. Think of these landmarks as safety nets spread throughout your presentation. The story anchor technique can be particularly effective. Throughout your presentation, have several relevant stories ready that you know by heart. If you blank out, you can transition to one of these stories while your mind reorients itself. Stories are easier to remember than facts or abstract points, and they keep your audience engaged during your recovery. Physical movement can help too. Taking a few deliberate steps can help restart your mental processes. This is why many speakers naturally move when they're thinking. Use this to your advantage. A purposeful step to one side can give you the moment you need to reconnect with your content. Technology can provide backup, but don't rely on it completely. Having notes or slides is fine, but know how to smoothly incorporate them into your recovery. A quick glance at your notes should look like part of your natural presentation style, not a desperate grab for help. Practice recovery techniques just as you practice your content. Deliberately blank out during rehearsals and practice using your recovery strategies. This builds confidence in your ability to handle these moments and makes your recovery techniques feel more natural when you need them. Remember that your audience wants you to succeed. They're not hoping you'll fail or judging you harshly for a momentary pause. In fact, handling a blank moment with grace can actually increase your credibility and connection with your audience. It shows you're human while demonstrating your professional capability to manage challenging moments. Most importantly, know that blanking out isn't the end of your presentation, it's just a moment within it. With the right techniques and mindset, you can turn these moments from potential disasters into opportunities to demonstrate your poise and professionalism. Because it's not about never blanking out, it's about knowing you can handle it when you do. Every speaker eventually faces them: the crossed arms, the skeptical looks, the challenging questions, the outright criticism. These moments test not just your speaking skills, but your leadership presence. How you handle pushback often matters more than how you handle praise. Master these situations, and you transform potential confrontations into opportunities for deeper connection. The first key to handling tough crowds lies in your mindset. Don't view criticism as an attack, view it as engagement. When someone challenges your point, they're not just criticizing, they're revealing that they're actively processing your message. This engagement, even if negative, is far better than apathy. Your physical response to criticism sets the tone for everything that follows. When faced with a challenging question or comment, stand your ground physically. Don't back away. Don't cross your arms. Keep your posture open and confident. Your body language should say, "I welcome this conversation," rather than, "I'm defending against an attack." The acknowledge and bridge technique is your first line of response. Start by genuinely acknowledging the critic's point. "That's an interesting perspective," or "I understand your concern." Then bridge to your response. "Let me share why I approach it differently," or "Here's what I've found in my experience." This approach shows respect while maintaining your authority. Never argue with critics in front of an audience. Instead, use what I call the include and expand method. Include the critic's point as part of a larger discussion. This raises an important aspect of our topic. Then expand the conversation to include other perspectives, including your own. This transforms potential confrontation into constructive dialogue. When facing tough questions, use the pause, process, proceed approach. Take a moment to fully absorb the question. Process it carefully. Don't rush to respond. Then proceed with a measured, thoughtful answer. This deliberate approach demonstrates confidence and ensures more effective responses. Some audiences start tough before you even begin speaking. They might be mandatory attendees, competitors, or simply skeptics. Here, the early alliance technique is crucial. Address their potential reservations early in your presentation. I know some of you might be wondering why you need to be here today. This shows you understand their position and builds credibility. Remember that emotion drives most criticism. When someone strongly challenges your point, they're often expressing underlying concerns or fears. Use the feel, felt, found framework. I understand how you feel. Others have felt the same way. What I've found is this acknowledges emotions while guiding toward solutions. Difficult audiences often include what I call vocal skeptics, people who actively express their doubts or disagreements. Don't shut them down. Instead, use their energy to fuel deeper discussion. Their challenges often voice what others are thinking but won't say. Address their points thoroughly, and you often win over the entire room. When criticism becomes persistent or disruptive, use the public response private continuation strategy. Address the immediate concern briefly in public, then offer to discuss it in detail after your presentation. This maintains presentation flow while showing respect for the critic's concerns. Sometimes criticism comes not through words, but through body language: eye rolling, head shaking, side conversations. Don't ignore these signals. Use movement to engage these audience members. Step closer to their area while making your next point. Often, proximity alone can shift their behavior. Never take criticism personally, even when it feels personal. Maintain professional detachment while showing emotional intelligence. Your goal isn't to win arguments, but to facilitate understanding. Sometimes the most powerful response to criticism is simply, "Tell me more about your perspective on this." If you make a mistake or share incorrect information, own it immediately. Nothing builds credibility faster than honest acknowledgement of errors. Use the correct and connect approach. Acknowledge the mistake, provide the correct information, and use the moment to strengthen your connection with the audience. Remember that handling tough crowds successfully isn't about avoiding conflict, it's about managing it productively. Every challenging situation is an opportunity to demonstrate leadership, professionalism, and emotional intelligence. When you handle criticism well, you often gain more respect than you would have from an easy presentation. Most importantly, learn from every tough crowd. They make you better, they sharpen your message, they strengthen your delivery. Because in the end, it's not the friendly audiences that help you grow, it's the challenging ones that transform you from a good speaker into a great one. Meetings are where careers are built or stalled, where influence is established or lost, where your voice can shape decisions or remain unheard. Yet for many, speaking up in meetings triggers the same anxiety as public speaking, sometimes even more so because the dynamics are more complex and the interactions more immediate. The first crucial understanding is that meetings are conversations, not performances. Unlike formal presentations, meetings require a different kind of presence, one that balances assertion with collaboration, confidence with collegiality. Your goal isn't to deliver a perfect speech, but to contribute meaningfully to a shared discussion. Preparation remains vital, but takes a different form. Before every meeting, practice what I call the three-point prep. Review the agenda. Identify at least 3 potential contribution points and prepare one thoughtful question for each major topic. This gives you multiple ready-made opportunities to speak up with substance. The timing of your first contribution is crucial. What I call the early voice principle suggests speaking up within the first 10 minutes of the meeting. This establishes your presence and makes subsequent contributions feel more natural. The longer you wait to speak, the more momentum you need to break your silence. Position yourself for success literally. In virtual meetings, keep your camera on and maintain an engaged posture. In physical meetings, sit where you can see and be seen by decision makers. Avoid the edges of the room or spots behind other participants. Your physical presence affects your psychological readiness to contribute. Master the art of the value-add comment. Before speaking, ask yourself, does this advance the discussion? Does it offer a new perspective? Does it connect different points being made? Your goal isn't to speak often, but to speak meaningfully. Quality of contribution always trumps quantity. Use what I call the bridge and build technique. Start by connecting your point to what someone else has said. Building on Sarah's point, or this connects to what John mentioned about. This approach shows you're actively listening and helps create a collaborative atmosphere rather than a competitive one. Body language plays a subtle but crucial role. When you want to speak, lean slightly forward, maintain eye contact with the speaker, and raise your hand slightly if appropriate for the meeting culture. These nonverbal cues signal your intention to contribute and often help you get the floor more naturally. For virtual meetings, master the digital presence triangle: camera position, eye level, lighting, front-facing, and background, professional but not distracting. Use the hand raise feature promptly, but don't leave it up too long. Monitor the chat while staying focused on the main discussion. Develop your interruption toolkit for those situations when you need to break into an ongoing discussion. Phrases like, "I'd like to add something here," or "May I offer a different perspective," are professional ways to enter the conversation. Your tone should be confident but not aggressive. The question strategy offers another effective way to contribute. Well-formed questions can be as valuable as statements. They show engagement, create opportunities for others to contribute, and help guide the discussion. But ensure your questions are genuine inquiries, not disguised statements. When disagreeing with others, use the contrast and connect method. Start by acknowledging the value in their perspective before offering your different view. "I see the merit in that approach, and I wonder if we might also consider." This maintains relationships while advancing the discussion. Handle interruptions professionally. If someone cuts you off, maintain composure and use phrases like, "I'd like to finish my thought," or "Let me add one final point to this." Your response to interruption often matters more than the interruption itself. Master the power summary technique. At key points in the discussion, offer a concise summary of the conversation so far, highlighting key decisions or open questions. This demonstrates leadership and helps move the meeting forward. So far, we've agreed on X and identified Y as our next step. The outstanding question seems to be Z. Remember that influence in meetings isn't just about speaking, it's about listening actively and engaging visibly. Nod in agreement when appropriate. Take notes. Show through your body language that you're fully present and engaged in the discussion. Most importantly, view every meeting as an opportunity to strengthen your voice. Start small if necessary, but start. Each contribution builds your confidence and establishes your presence. Over time, speaking up becomes not just easier, but natural, an authentic expression of your professional value and expertise. The moment often comes without warning. Would you like to say a few words? Whether it's a wedding toast, an unexpected tribute, or a spontaneous response to an opportunity, impromptu speaking situations can trigger instant anxiety. Yet these moments, handled well, can become some of your most memorable and impactful speaking experiences. The key to impromptu speaking lies in understanding that you don't have to be perfect, you have to be genuine. While prepared speeches demand polish, impromptu moments demand authenticity. Your audience doesn't expect a perfectly crafted presentation. They expect and often prefer a heartfelt, honest response. The three-point framework is your lifeline in these situations. Every impromptu speech, no matter the occasion, can be structured around three simple elements: the opening acknowledgement, the core message, and the closing call. This simple structure gives you a mental roadmap when your mind might otherwise go blank. Start with a genuine acknowledgement of the moment and the people involved. Sarah, looking at you today, I'm reminded of when we first met. This buys you time to organize your thoughts while creating an immediate connection with your audience. The key is specificity. Generic openings feel hollow. For the core message, use what I call the PREP method: point, reason, example, point. Make your main point, explain why it matters, share a specific example or story that illustrates it, then reinforce your point. This simple structure helps you stay focused and coherent even under pressure. Stories are your best friends in impromptu speaking. They're easier to remember than facts or abstract points, and they naturally engage your audience. Keep a mental library of go-to stories that can be adapted to different situations. The best stories are short, specific, and speak to universal experiences. The circle method provides another reliable structure. Start with a specific observation about the present moment, move to a broader perspective or lesson, then circle back to connect that lesson to the current situation. This creates a satisfying sense of completion, even in brief remarks. Time management is crucial in impromptu speaking. Without preparation, it's easy to ramble. Use the rule of halves. Take the time you think you should speak and cut it in half. A 2-minute toast is often more powerful than a 5-minute one. Brevity creates impact. Body language becomes especially important in impromptu moments. Stand tall, even if you feel uncertain. Make eye contact with your audience. Use natural gestures. Your physical presence can project confidence even when you're thinking on your feet. If you're caught completely off guard, use the pause and process technique. Take a deep breath. Stand up slowly if you're seated. These few seconds give your mind time to begin forming a response. Remember, a thoughtful pause is far better than rushing into uncertain speech. For toasts specifically, remember the 3 S's: be short, be sincere, be seated. A toast isn't a speech, it's a moment of celebration. Keep your focus on the person or occasion being honored. Personal anecdotes work well, but they should illuminate the honoree, not yourself. When speaking impromptu, embrace the power of simplicity. Don't try to cover too much ground. One clear message, well expressed, is far more effective than several points hastily strung together. Think of it as distilling your thoughts rather than expanding them. Handle mistakes with grace. If you misspeak or lose your train of thought, simply pause, smile, and redirect. Let me put that another way. Your recovery often matters more than your mistake. Authenticity includes acknowledging human moments. The conclusion of an impromptu speech is crucial. End with purpose, not apology. Avoid phrases like, "Well, that's all I have," or "I guess I'll stop there." Instead, use strong closing language that reinforces your message and honors the moment. For toasts, end with a clear call to raise glasses. Remember that every impromptu speaking opportunity, whether handled perfectly or not, builds your confidence for the next one. These moments are not tests to pass or fail. They're opportunities to connect, share, and grow as a speaker. The emotion behind your impromptu words often matters more than their perfect arrangement. Your audience will remember how you made them feel long after they've forgotten your exact words. Let your genuine care and connection shine through. A heartfelt "I remember" or "I believe" can carry more weight than the most polished phrase. Practice impromptu speaking in low-stakes situations. Give yourself random topics and 3 minutes to speak about them. Time yourself. Record yourself. This builds your confidence and expands your ability to think and speak on your feet. The more you practice thinking quickly and speaking clearly, the more natural it becomes when real opportunities arise. The digital age has transformed public speaking. Whether you're delivering a webinar, recording a video message, or leading a virtual meeting, speaking to a camera requires a unique set of skills. The lens becomes your audience. The screen, your stage, and connection must be created through pixels rather than presence. The fundamental challenge of camera speaking lies in the absence of immediate audience feedback. There are no nodding heads, no responsive smiles, no energy to feed off. You must generate and maintain engagement through your own energy and intention. This requires what I call projected presence, the ability to push your personality through the lens. The camera creates an intimacy paradox. While you might be reaching hundreds or thousands of viewers, each person experiences you as speaking directly to them, alone. This demands a different energy than speaking to a room. Your delivery should feel more conversational, more personal, like speaking to a trusted colleague across a desk. Your physical setup matters more than ever. Position your camera at eye level. A slightly elevated laptop or properly mounted webcam is essential. Look directly into the lens when speaking. This creates the illusion of eye contact for your viewers. Think of the lens as the eyes of someone you're trying to convince or connect with. Lighting becomes crucial in digital speaking. Your primary light source should be in front of you, not behind or above. Natural light is best, but if using artificial light, ensure it's diffused to avoid harsh shadows. Poor lighting doesn't just affect how you look. It impacts how well your audience can engage with and trust your message. Your background needs careful consideration. It should be professional but not distracting. A simple bookshelf, plain wall, or subtle branded backdrop works well. Virtual backgrounds can work if they're high quality and your lighting is perfect, but natural backgrounds usually create better connection. Voice modulation becomes even more important on camera. The microphone picks up every subtle variation in your voice, so speak with slightly more energy than feels natural. Use what I call the plus 10% rule. Increase your normal energy level by 10% to compensate for the flattening effect of digital transmission. Movement must be more controlled on camera. While natural gestures are still important, they need to be more contained. Keep your gestures within the frame and make them deliberate. Random movement, which might go unnoticed in person, becomes distracting on screen. Pacing changes in digital presentations. Online attention spans are shorter, so your content needs to be more concentrated. Break your material into shorter segments. Use more frequent transitions. Create what I call attention anchors, moments of heightened engagement through questions, polls, or direct address to your audience. Technical mastery becomes part of your speaking toolkit. Know how to share your screen smoothly, transition between views effectively, and troubleshoot basic issues quickly. Nothing undermines your message faster than fumbling with technology. Practice these technical elements until they're second nature. Engagement strategies must evolve for digital spaces. Use the chat function strategically. Build in interactive elements. Create deliberate pauses for audience participation. The goal is to transform passive viewers into active participants, even through a digital medium. Your clothing choices matter differently on camera. Avoid busy patterns that can create moire effects. Stay away from pure white or black, which can cause exposure issues. Choose solid, medium toned colors that complement your skin tone and background. Remember that your audience will see you primarily from the chest up. Preparation takes on new dimensions for camera speaking. Test your technical setup well before your presentation. Record yourself and watch it back. Pay attention to how you appear on screen, how your voice sounds through the microphone, how your movements read on camera. Small adjustments can make significant differences. The energy you project must be sustainable. While you need to increase your energy for camera work, it needs to be energy you can maintain consistently. Find what I call your camera comfort zone, the level of energy and expression that feels authentic to you while still engaging your audience through the lens. Remember that digital speaking isn't just a compromise necessitated by distance, it's a powerful medium in its own right. When mastered, it allows you to create intimate connections with audiences across the globe, to share your message without geographical limitations, to impact lives through the power of technology combined with authentic human connection. Your personal story is the most powerful speaking tool you possess. No other speaker can tell it. No one can challenge its authenticity. When crafted and delivered effectively, your story can transform audiences, shape perspectives, and create lasting impact. Yet many speakers either avoid personal stories or tell them ineffectively, missing their true potential for connection. The key to powerful personal storytelling lies in understanding its deeper purpose. Your story isn't really about you, it's about your audience. Every personal experience you share should serve as a bridge between your journey and your listener's own challenges, aspirations, or possibilities. This shift in perspective transforms self-focused narrative into audience-centered impact. Start with what I call the story mining process. Review your life experiences not just for dramatic moments, but for turning points that taught universal lessons. Look for situations where you faced challenges your audience might relate to. Search for moments that revealed truths about human nature, professional growth, or personal development. Structure your story using the four-part impact framework: the setup, the struggle, the shift, and the significance. The setup establishes the context and creates immediate relatability. The struggle presents the central challenge or conflict. The shift reveals the crucial moment of change or realization. The significance connects your experience to broader implications for your audience. Specific details create authenticity, but choose them strategically. Include sensory details that make your story vivid and memorable: the weight of a decision, the sound of a crucial conversation, the feeling of a transformative moment. But every detail should serve your story's purpose. This isn't about comprehensive recall, but about strategic impact. Emotion must be handled with precision and personal storytelling. Too little emotion makes your story feel clinical and distant. Too much can make your audience uncomfortable or shift focus from your message to your emotional state. Find what I call the connection zone: enough emotion to create authenticity and engagement, but not so much that it overwhelms your message. Vulnerability is powerful, but must be purposeful. Share failures, doubts, and mistakes that your audience might relate to, but always show the path through them. Your story should demonstrate growth, resilience, or insight. Remember, vulnerability without purpose is just confession. Vulnerability with purpose is transformation. Time management becomes crucial in personal storytelling. Most speakers tell their stories too long, including details that dilute rather than strengthen their impact. Use the essential elements test. Does this detail directly serve my message? Does it strengthen audience connection? Does it advance the story's purpose? If not, leave it out. Your delivery should match your story's authenticity. Avoid performance or dramatization. Aim for genuine conversation. Use natural variations in pace and tone that emerge from the story's emotional journey. Let your voice reflect your experience without overpowering it. Think of yourself as sharing with your audience rather than performing for them. Practice is essential, but should focus on flow rather than perfection. You're not memorizing a script, you're internalizing a journey. Each telling might emphasize slightly different aspects depending on your audience and purpose. This flexibility keeps your story fresh and authentic while maintaining its core impact. Context shapes how you tell your story. The same personal experience might be told differently in a keynote speech, a training session, or a motivational talk. Always adapt your story's length, detail, and emphasis to serve your specific speaking purpose and audience needs. Handle humor carefully in personal stories. Self deprecating moments can create connection, but too much can undermine your credibility. Use humor that arises naturally from situations rather than forced jokes. Remember that your goal is impact, not entertainment. Cultural sensitivity matters increasingly in personal storytelling. Be aware of how your experiences might be interpreted through different cultural lenses. Avoid assumptions about shared perspectives or values. Frame your story in ways that create bridges across cultural differences rather than highlighting them. The conclusion of your personal story should create what I call a legacy moment, a clear takeaway that your audience can apply to their own lives. Don't just end with what happened, end with what it means. Give your audience something to carry forward, a truth they can use, a perspective that might change how they see their own challenges or opportunities. Master personal storytelling, and you master one of the most powerful tools in public speaking. Because when you share your story effectively, you do more than communicate. You create a moment of shared human experience that can inspire, enlighten, and transform. Your personal journey becomes a light illuminating possibilities for others. Great communicators aren't born, they're built, one habit at a time. While moments on stage might showcase their skills, it's their daily practices that create their capabilities. These aren't grand gestures or intense training sessions, but small, consistent actions that compound over time to create extraordinary communication ability. The foundation of all communication excellence is active listening. Great communicators practice focused attention in every conversation, not just important ones. They maintain eye contact. They resist the urge to interrupt. They listen not just to words, but to tone, pace, and emotion. This daily practice of deep listening builds the awareness that powers their speaking. Voice care becomes a daily ritual. Professional speakers understand that their voice is their instrument and treat it accordingly. They stay hydrated. They practice proper breathing. They avoid habits that strain their vocal cords. Most importantly, they regularly exercise their voice through deliberate practice, even on days when they're not presenting. Reading aloud for 10 minutes each day transforms both voice and language facility. Great communicators choose varied material, poetry for rhythm, prose for flow, technical content for clarity. They pay attention to their articulation, pacing, and emphasis. This simple practice builds verbal agility and vocal control. The three-story rule helps build narrative skill. Each day, identify 3 moments that could become stories. They might be personal experiences, observed interactions, or shared events. Mentally structure these moments into narrative form. This habit builds your story library while strengthening your narrative instincts. Physical presence requires daily attention. Strong communicators maintain awareness of their posture, gesture patterns, and movement habits throughout their day. They practice power poses before meetings. They use everyday moments to refine their physical communication. Every interaction becomes an opportunity for presence practice. Vocabulary building becomes a natural part of daily life, not through memorizing word lists, but through curious engagement with language. Great communicators collect powerful phrases. They note effective metaphors. They study how others use language to create impact. They actively incorporate new words into their regular communication. The feedback loop habit involves seeking specific input on your communication. Ask one person each day for focused feedback on an aspect of your communication, clarity, impact, presence, or connection. This constant refinement prevents stagnation and promotes continuous growth. Written communication receives daily attention. Strong speakers understand the connection between written and spoken word. They journal to clarify thoughts. They craft important emails with speakers' sensibility. They use writing to develop the clear thinking that underlies clear speaking. Technology mastery requires regular practice. Modern communicators stay current with communication tools. They test new features in virtual platforms. They practice screen sharing and presentation tools. They maintain familiarity with the technical elements that support modern communication. The empathy exercise builds connection skills. Each day, consciously consider a perspective different from your own. Observe others' communication styles. Notice what engages different types of people. This daily practice of perspective taking strengthens your ability to connect with diverse audiences. Stress management becomes a crucial daily practice. Great communicators develop personal techniques for maintaining composure. They might use meditation, exercise, or breathing practices. They understand that emotional regulation in daily life supports powerful communication in crucial moments. Content curation is an ongoing process. Strong communicators regularly collect material that might enhance their messages. They save compelling statistics. They archive powerful examples. They build a repository of resources that can strengthen their communication in various contexts. The intention-setting habit frames each day's communication. Before important interactions, they take a moment to clarify their purpose. What's the core message? What's the desired impact? This brief practice ensures their communication remains purposeful and focused. Physical preparation extends beyond the voice. Regular exercise, proper rest, and stress management become part of the communicator's toolkit. They understand that physical well-being directly affects their presence and impact as speakers. Most importantly, great communicators maintain what I call communication consciousness, an ongoing awareness of how they're connecting with others. Every interaction, whether casual or formal, becomes an opportunity to practice and refine their skills. These habits might seem simple, even obvious, but their power lies not in their complexity, but in their consistency. When practiced daily, these small actions create the foundation for exceptional communication ability. Because masterful speaking isn't just about what you do on stage, it's about who you become through daily practice. Every time you speak is an opportunity to grow stronger. Whether your presentation soars or stumbles, whether you reach 10 people or 10,000, each speaking event contains powerful lessons. The key lies not in the speaking itself, but in how you capture, analyze, and apply the experience to fuel your development. Great speakers approach each presentation with two mindsets, performer and observer. While one part of you delivers the speech, another part maintains awareness of what's working, what isn't, and why. This dual consciousness doesn't diminish your presence. It enhances your ability to learn from every moment. The learning begins before you speak. Create what I call a growth focus for each presentation. Choose one specific aspect of speaking to monitor and improve. It might be pace variation, gesture range, audience engagement, or story impact. This focused attention accelerates your development in targeted areas. Record yourself whenever possible. Video is best, but audio works too. Many speakers resist this practice, uncomfortable with watching or listening to themselves. But this discomfort is precisely why it's valuable. You can't improve what you can't observe, and recording provides the most objective feedback available. Develop a systematic review process. Watch your recordings with specific questions in mind. How's my energy level? Is my message clear? Are my transitions smooth? Do my gestures support or distract? Create a checklist that helps you analyze each aspect of your performance objectively. The three-level review method provides a structured approach to analysis. First, examine your content. Was your message clear? Did your structure support your purpose? Did your examples land effectively? Second, analyze your delivery. How was your pace, tone, and presence? Finally, assess your impact. Did you achieve your speaking goals? Did you connect with your audience? Audience feedback requires careful interpretation. Don't just ask, "How was it?" This usually yields polite but unhelpful responses. Instead, ask specific questions. What point resonated most strongly? Where did you feel most engaged? What could have been clearer? These targeted questions provide actionable insights. Pay special attention to unexpected moments. When did the audience react differently than you anticipated? Where did you deviate from your plan? Often, these unplanned moments contain valuable lessons about what truly engages your audience or what naturally works for you as a speaker. Create a success journal to document what works. After each presentation, record specific techniques, stories, or approaches that proved effective. Over time, this builds a personal playbook of reliable speaking tools. Include context. What worked with which type of audience, in what situation, for what purpose? The growth grid technique helps track progress systematically. Create a matrix of speaking skills, content creation, delivery, audience engagement, presence, etc. After each presentation, rate yourself in each area and note specific observations. This reveals patterns and progress over time. Learn from other speakers at your events. Whether you're part of a lineup or the sole presenter, observe how others engage their audience. What techniques do they use? How do they handle challenges? Even speakers whose style differs from yours can offer valuable insights. Technical difficulties and mishaps become growth opportunities. When things go wrong, and they will pay attention to how you handle them. Your response to problems often teaches you more about your capabilities than smooth sailing. Document these moments and your solutions for future reference. Feedback from peers and mentors adds crucial perspective. Find speaking professionals or experienced colleagues who can offer informed critique. Their specialized knowledge can highlight areas for improvement you might miss and suggest specific techniques for enhancement. The next level question focuses your growth. What would make this presentation 10% better? Not perfect, just better. This approach prevents overwhelm while ensuring continuous improvement. Small, consistent enhancements compound into significant advancement over time. Energy management deserves special attention in your review. Note your energy levels before, during, and after speaking. What preparation methods work best? How do different techniques affect your stamina? This understanding helps you optimize your performance and recovery routines. Turn insights into action plans. After each analysis, identify 3 specific improvements to implement in your next presentation. Write them down. Practice them. Make them part of your preparation routine. This converts observation into actual growth. Most importantly, maintain what I call a growth mindset about speaking. Every presentation, regardless of how it goes, contains lessons that can make you better. There are no failures, only feedback, no mistakes, only learning opportunities. This perspective transforms every speaking event into a stepping stone toward mastery. As we reach the end of our journey together, it's time to confront an eternal truth about public speaking. Fear never completely disappears. Even the most accomplished speakers feel moments of anxiety. Even the most confident presenters experience butterflies. Even the most seasoned professionals sometimes hear that whisper of doubt. This isn't a weakness. It's part of being human. Fear visits everyone. The difference between good speakers and great ones isn't the absence of fear, but their relationship with it. They've learned to welcome fear as a signal that they're doing something meaningful, something that matters enough to create emotional investment. Think of fear and confidence not as opposites, but as partners in your speaking journey. Fear shows up because you care about making an impact. It appears because you're pushing beyond your comfort zone, reaching for new levels of influence and effectiveness. In this light, fear becomes not an enemy to vanquish, but a companion that keeps you sharp. Confidence, on the other hand, isn't a feeling that arrives suddenly one day. It's built slowly, through consistent action and accumulated experience. Every time you speak, despite your fear, you lay another brick in your foundation of confidence. Every time you push through anxiety to make your point, you strengthen that foundation. The fear-confidence cycle explains this relationship. When you feel fear but speak anyway, you create evidence of your capability. This evidence builds confidence. This confidence doesn't eliminate fear, but it changes your relationship with it. You begin to trust that you can handle whatever speaking situations arise. Remember the journey you've taken through these chapters. You've learned techniques for preparation and delivery. You've discovered strategies for handling difficult situations. You've developed skills for connecting with any audience. These tools don't exist to eliminate fear. They exist to give you resources that build lasting confidence. Your speaking journey will continue to present new challenges. Each time you reach a new level, you'll face new fears. Speaking to larger audiences, tackling more important topics, handling higher stakes situations, each advancement brings its own form of anxiety. This isn't a sign of regression, it's a mark of growth. The confidence anchor technique helps in these moments. Remind yourself of past successes. Recall specific times you've handled speaking challenges effectively. These memories aren't just comfort, they're evidence of your capability. They remind you that while fear may visit, your confidence has deep roots. Your physical tools for handling fear remain constant: proper breathing, purposeful movement, powerful stance. Your mental tools stay relevant: thorough preparation, audience focus, clear purpose. These aren't just techniques for beginners, they're practices that seasoned speakers rely on throughout their careers. The key shift happens when you stop seeing speaking anxiety as something to overcome and start seeing it as energy to be channeled. That flutter in your stomach, it's arousal for peak performance. That heightened awareness, it's your body preparing you to engage fully with your audience. Build what I call a confidence library, a mental collection of your speaking successes, audience connections, and moments of impact. When fear visits, you don't need to fight it. Instead, let it remind you to open this library, to recall your capability, to ground yourself in your accumulated experience. Your voice matters, your message matters, your impact matters. These truths remain constant regardless of how you feel in any given moment. Let them be your foundation when fear visits. Let them remind you why you choose to speak up, to share, to lead through communication. Future challenges will come. You'll face new audiences, tackle new topics, encounter new situations. Fear will visit then too. But now you know that's not a problem to solve. It's part of the journey. It's a sign that you're still growing, still reaching, still engaging with work that matters. Remember, confidence isn't the absence of fear, it's the presence of capability. Every tool you've learned, every technique you've practiced, every insight you've gained builds that capability. These resources don't disappear when fear visits. They remain with you, ready to be called upon whenever needed. As we close this exploration of powerful speaking, carry this truth with you. You don't need to be fearless to be effective. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be willing to show up, to share your message, to make your impact. Because while fear may visit, confidence, true, earned, grounded confidence, will stay.